earlier race we had 9 laps from the 20-minute race. Again, we did have a bit of a delay with the safety car, but now we're ready to go once again. The red lights have gone out. The race is underway for 20 minutes. Even start from the top of the front, but actually it's Charlie Dark that steals the march, and Ben Pearson. And Ben Pearson now trying to get up the inside of Charlie Dark as well as they head into Oulton corner for the first time in this race. That was a bit of a brush there for the number 27 car of Chris Blakey, our class winner from early on. He got a bit of a swipe with somebody there, but I think has managed to keep going. And you've got Sean Foley there at the back in the number 71 car, the E46 M3 GTR. But a great start by the two M235i cars. They're very effective away from the line, and Paul Cook had a bit of work to do, and I think he will have a bit of work to do during the course of this race now as a result of that. Off they go down Shallows corner, and it is Pearson leading, and it is Paul Cook already back to second place. He's taken P2 away from Charlie Dark at Shallows corner, but Pearson, well, who knows, he might be a bit more of a difficult nut to try and crack.
There was a pincer movement on Andrew Phillips' car, I noticed. The 888 that started in 11th was in a real sandwich and just had to either get on the brakes or certainly off the power to avoid a 3-car collision into Old Hall. So Charlie Dark has slipped back to third position. It's Ben Pearson that leads now, ahead of Paul Cook. So the white car with the black sides heading up Clay Hill for the first time. Paul Cook did seem to have just enough of momentum in the opening race to fend off the rest of the runners, but this has thrown down the gauntlet now, and Paul Cook has to provide an answer, I suppose. Stephen Schweikart, who did not have the ideal race, having started on the front row earlier in the day, fell back to something like 6th and 7th and eventually worked his way back up to third. It was 68 thousandths of a second, I think, across the line with Ben Pearson, and Schweikart looking for a way by Charlie Dark as they come through Dearly for the first time.
Yeah, over the line goes Ben Pearson. He leads by 0.4 of a second from Paul Cook. Charlie Dark is third, Stephen Schweikart fourth, John Brown fifth, and Jason Rees is in sixth position. Cavan Granger and Aidan Vilkua are nose to tail in the M2 class, 8th and 9th positions there overall as the rest of the field comes through. That's the 44 car you can see on the screen. That's Ben Haynes. He's, I think, just in behind Clive Watson as well, so good scraps going on all the way down the order, and William Lake is trying to recover some ground. He had to start at the back of the grid for this race. There are the two leaders. Ben Pearson still ahead, but Paul Cook right behind him now, and Stephen Schweikart in 4th place has caught Charlie Dark. We've got 3 cars battling over 5th position as well. Here's the fight for 3rd place into Britons this time.
Yeah, nothing between Schweikart and Dark, the car that he is chasing in 135, and also the fight is on first to second, so they have cleared off from those 2 white cars in behind. It's almost like an American police car livery for Ben Pearson, but it's the cops that's being chased, weirdly, maybe by the robber. No, that's being unkind to Paul Cook. He's a chef. Not anyway. Where am I? Which rabbit hole am I disappearing into here? Absolutely nothing between 3rd and 4th positions. Just maybe a squirm from the rear tyres of Charlie Dark in that Crown Paints car. Just can't hang on to those 2 in front though. And again, a big wag of the tail from Charlie Dark, which he needed to arrest. And here comes Schweikart with the giant rear wing on the back of number 43. That will help him into the slower speed, medium speed corners. And it looks actually the quicker car of these 2, but he can't find a way by 135 on this second lap.
That's right. So these 2 now about 3 or so seconds behind the leaders. And they're about 4 or 5 seconds ahead of the next group of cars. John Brown, Jason Rees and Stuart Pywell, they're right together as well for 5th, 6th and 7th positions. And just watching from our commentary box window, but let's talk about that in a minute, because the side-by-side for 3rd, and Stephen Schweikart has gone through, he's muscled his way ahead of Charlie Dark there. So Schweikart, winner at Silverstone, has gone through into 3rd position there down at Cascades. What I was about to say was we've got a good fight going on for the Class M2 lead as well, which will try and pick up, and it's side by side for the lead as well. And it's Paul Cook with his nose in front, but is he going to be on the right line for the Britain's chicane? Yes, he is. He's gone through. Every time I try and talk about the AM2 class lead, there's some side-by-side action going on. But it is a great fight between Vilku and with Cavan Granger as well. Granger was ahead by about 4/10 as they came across the line that time. But the leader of the race now is Paul Cook.
Do you want me to talk about M2s? Cavan Granger leading the M2 category in 8th place overall, and that is from the Vilku car, Aidan Vilku, number 69. And the gap between them is absolutely nothing at all. It was less than half a second as they crossed the line at the beginning of lap 3. We've already had 5 minutes of this race. The Class 6 is led by Andrew Phillips in his 888 car. That was the one that was getting the pincer movement at the start of the race from both left and right, and he actually dealt with the whole situation very well, because that could have been a nasty incident. So Andrew Phillips in his 330 CI, but it is at the moment leading the way, the new race leader Paul Cook, of course, because that was all done heading through Shell Oil's hairpin and into Britain. So it's the E46 M3 of Paul Cook now, who heads Ben Pearson's number 25 car.
And here is that Class M2 lead that we've been desperately trying to talk about for the last lap or so. It is the 37 car of Cavan Granger. What we've been waiting to see them, they've actually got themselves a bit further apart, with Aidan Vilku in his E36 M3 having dropped back a little bit now, the electrical engineer from Willenhall in the West Midlands. He's dropped back a little bit there in the number 69 car, 25-year-old, and only his second season of racing. There's Schweikart third, Charlie Dark fourth, get back to fifth, but we'll stay with the leaders because Paul Cook hasn't shaken off Ben Pearson as yet. Paul Cook, who started out his racing with the 750 Most Club in MR2s originally. He raced in the M3 Cup, which ran the best part of 10 years ago now. Ben Pearson started out racing in Ginetta Juniors, and he's been racing this M235i for a couple of years now. And yeah, the Cop car's now doing the chasing, isn't it? Because he's right behind Paul Cook, less than a car length between them. He's not given up the fight.
So it is a high-speed chase, as we've had for much of the day, actually, in so many of the different categories racing here at BMW Live at Oulton Park. Charlie Dark has made a break on his own in third position in an effort actually to reel in these two, and perhaps now in clear air where he doesn't have the distraction of, Schweikart rather, clearing Charlie Dark. And now that Schweikart is into some clearer air, the pace from earlier on showed that he could be quicker than certainly the Ben Pearson car, but Paul Cook and Schweikart in the original qualifying session were separated by 2.3 seconds. So now that Paul Cook has wriggled free of Ben Pearson, that's the worst possible news for Stephen Schweikart. But at least he starts from a better foundation, slipping down all those places that he did in the first race, but beginning this one in third, and is now trying to track Ben Pearson, who has the fastest lap to his name, but not last time around. He was a couple of seconds away from that.
You can see at the back of the shot, that group that's just gone through shot there, heading down towards Cascades. John Brown in 7th place, car number 7. He's seen the black and white driving standards flag shown to him, I presume for exceeding track limits. But he was in 5th place in the earlier part of that race. Now here is a challenge on, and this is for the M2 second position, because number 20, David Aspden, has reeled in Aidan Vilku. Now David Aspden, who's there in his Z3, good to see that out on the grid, providing some welcome variety to this grid. He's 56-year-old from near Bradford, vehicle telematics engineer, done racing in the 750 Motor Club kit cars in the past. In this, his car's got a 2.8 litre straight 6 engine in that BMW Z3. That's challenging for second position. As we're watching the leaders now, is Schweikart catching Ben Pearson here? He was 1.9 seconds behind at the start of the lap. He may have come down by a tenth or so.
Well, certainly he was quicker at the end of lap 4. A 150.6 played a 151.3 of Ben Pearson. And Ben capable in the early stages of a much quicker time than that, but that was probably when he was leading. Now Pearson is in the, well, I was going to say wheel tracks of Paul Cook, but he's more and more distant than that and has struggled ever since Paul was able to overtake in his mighty E46 M3.
The Z3, which we were just talking about, seems to have broken, I'm afraid. That's a great shame. David Aspden has got an indicator on saying, I'm going to keep out of the way, everybody. But a few other cars have just gone past him now. So it looks like he's going to be retiring from the race. So a short-lived challenge to Aidan Vilku there. And a shame that the Z3, it's the only Z3 on the grid, I think,
it is,
is retiring.
Yeah, a proper BMW sports car, a little sports car compared to these more touring car derived saloon machines. But we love all of the M3, certainly at the sharp end, and there's lots of fighting further down the order as well. Maybe a little bit less BHP, but nevertheless, side-by-side, door-handle to door-handle action. The 31 car that was in strife earlier on in the day, Paul Larami, you might remember, brought out a safety car after he went a bit too deep into Lodge corner. His E46 compact has been repaired. It fell off the road right about here, in fact, at Lodge, but is tussling nicely with a driver fairly early on in their career, with the novice cross still on the back of it. That is the number 44 car. 44 being Ben Haynes in his E46 330i, and there's no way through for Paul at Old Hall Corner, but they were overlapping for a fair few feet there. And Laramie looking quicker, just trying to find a suitable place to pass.
David Asperton, meanwhile, has come into the pit lane, as we feared that he might do. There's a black and orange mechanical warning flag as well, and that is to the treble 8 car. Now, that is Andy Phillips. Now, he's no longer leading in Class 6 because Chris Blakey has got back to the front of that class, but Andy Phillips, the local driver from Nantwich, looks like he's going to have to come into the pit lane because he's got a loose bonnet, potentially. The Marshall's trackside have reported that and say the officials said you need to come to the pit lane to get that checked out. Leaders have gone through to complete lap 6. There's 8.5 minutes or so left to go. Cook now leading by 1.9 seconds from Pearson. Pearson to Shricott went out by a couple of tenths that lap to 1.5. And then Charlie Dark 3.4 seconds behind them. And the next group of cars just coming past our window is headed by Jason Rees, as we are watching there that Laramie car as it makes its way down to the Knickerbrook chicane, and he is running, I think, in something like 15th or 16th position at the moment. There's the treble 8 car. It looks like there's some frontal damage on that car that has possibly caused the bonnet to become dislodged. We'll try and get another look at that if we can, but that might be why it needs to head to pit lane.
So maybe one of the clips has broken rather than failing. So, yeah, grab a glimpse of that in just a tick. There is Ben Haynes, who was battling with Paul Laramie, but the car we're talking about that is being instructed to head to pit lane with the black and orange flag has done exactly that. Andrew Phillips in the treble 8. Of course, it's parked as far away from our commentary position as it possibly can do, but maybe the team or one of the officials is going to just check something out there and either take something off or strap it down. The official wouldn't do that, but maybe a team member for Andrew Phillips would do, and the 330i, fingers crossed, can rejoin. It's a reasonably long lap round here, 2.69 miles, so the hope is that the car will stay on the lead lap, but if it takes any more than, well, a minute and 50 seconds, then unfortunately that car will go a lap down.
Yeah, that's right. As Paul Cook, he comes through to complete another lap, actually, as we're watching John Brown. Still there in 7th place in his M3 Cup specification car, so possibly not as highly developed as some of the others down there, because the M3 Cup was for BMW M3s, as the name suggests, but with a particular kit of parts that they had to run, and John built his car up for that. As we're watching dispute for the Class M2 lead again, because Aidan Vilcourt got back on terms with Cavan Granger, and then he's managed to drive off the road and seems to have slowed up quite a bit as a result of that. So all of a sudden he got close for the lead in the M2 class, and then it's really dissipated again, that battle. I did notice a message on our screen, I think, that we may have seen that the 37 car gained a bit of time, possibly at the chicane a lap or two ago. So that'll be something that the officials will be checking out. But certainly now he's pulled away again from Aidan Vilcourt in the battle for M2 class honours.
They're now turning right at the end of the lap at Lodge Corner, as Charlie Dark is having to deal with some slower traffic, including Craig Emerson's 330Ci. He is able to clear that all-white Class 6 BMW of Emerson fairly comfortably on the run up over Hilltop, and then straight on the brakes again for the delicate run through Hislops, with the tyre stacks poised to punish any mistakes. Out of Knickerbrook will go Dark. He's still sitting in 4th position then. Schweikart almost running the risk, for Dark's point of view, of just disappearing from his view entirely when these two were nose to tail a handful of laps ago. So Schweikart's 3.5 seconds to the good, maybe slightly more than that. But Paul Cook's also in traffic. So is this a chance for Ben Pearson to gather some of that ground back again? Actually, Cook is, well, he's so clinical through the traffic. He's, if anything, he's built the gap back to Ben Pearson's car.
Looks like it, doesn't it? As Pearson goes past number 17, Andrew Pywell. We'll get a view there of number 30 as well, which is Matthew Smith in his 330i Coupe for the drive from Ruskington. He's running in 17th place, but now a lap down on the rest of the field. There is Ben Pearson. He too is picking his way through the traffic then in the M235i. Car number 25. He is now 2.6 seconds behind the race leader, Paul Cook, with 4.5 minutes of the race left to go. By the way, Andy Phillips has retired from the race now, and there's certainly some frontal damage to that car, which had dislodged the bumper as much as anything, really. I think. I don't know if it was something that possibly happened on the first lap of the race. Johnny described the sort of squeezing that was going on the first lap, so possibly some contact there. Did a bit more damage than we first realised.
Yeah, it was tough to tell from our angle whether there'd been contact or not, but it could easily have pushed the front bumper or maybe even the wing towards the tyre, compromised the wheel arch, and I thought he'd actually done enough to limit the damage, but maybe not. And sometimes, of course, you can get away with it, or you think you can get away with it, and then a few laps into the race, it's got worse. So he won't be alone in suffering those difficulties. Amongst those that have had trying days, Jason Rees had a spin earlier on in one of the other races. Or maybe it was this race, actually, just the different version of it. It's been a long day, Ian. But Rees is still there with what look like flickering headlights, but that's because they are LEDs, and actually the frame rate of our cameras is far quicker than the human eye, so they look steady to the human eye, but it looks like it's frantically flashing at everybody in the race so far. You can do that, of course, to pose a distraction, but I don't think Jason is, in fairness. Headlights fully ablaze for John Brown's bright yellow number 7. 2 cars to clear at once, and he really had to tighten his line out of Druids on the Paul Warwick Bridge. He's got by 1. And is the next one for position?
That is for position.
Beg your pardon, right.
It's Stuart Pywell, isn't it, that he's trying to get alongside for 6th place here. And he's overlapping as they head up Dearly, but just tucks back in behind as they go into the pedestrian bridge there, the footbridge that goes across the circuit at Dearleap. So it's still Stuart Pywell in 6th and John Brown in 7th in that number 7 car for the 42-year-old from Glasgow. Started racing 10 years ago. It's a 2002 car, this one. And he built himself, as I say, for the M3 Cup all those years ago. Still looks remarkably fresh, doesn't it, that E46 shape of BMW M3, even though it's now well over 20 years old.
Yeah, in my opinion, you can't beat an E30, although there are several other BMW owners here who would, I'm sure, strongly disagree. But a real impressive sight to see the fans pouring in this morning at the unearthly hour of 9 o'clock. I mean, there's normally only one of those in my day. But no, I'm mightily impressed, having never been to BMW Live before, quite how well subscribed it is. And it's not only the racing action we've got on offer. Obviously, that is our live stream entertainment, but Ian's been reeling off all the various other attractions around the racetrack as Paul Rees now moves right and left into his slops and is still fending off the advances of Stuart Pywell and John Brown.
M2 class still being led by Cavan Granger, about 1.7 seconds back to Aidan Vilcoux. Class 6 is being led by Chris Blakey by 14 seconds now from Clive Watson, who's in 2nd place within that class. And Gareth Thomas looking like he's set for another win in Class 6. And of course, these class wins, if they keep mounting up, those can be useful points for the championship. As we said, it's Cavan Granger leading the championship by a point from Stephen Schweikart. It looks like he's going to extend that here with another class victory. Schweikart back in 3rd position within his class. There's a minute to go on the clock. So, yeah, the last lap board is already out. So this is going to be the 11th and final lap of the race. And we're watching Jason Rees in 5th position put a lap on number 17, Andrew Pywell, who's, I think, having his last race weekend in this country, is he not? Because I think he's heading off to live in Australia after this weekend. I think we're going to see him out with his dad in the race a bit later on. He's just been lapped by his dad as well in the Ultimate BMW race later on.
Yeah, so his windscreen visor is on the wrong way up, isn't it? To say that he's heading down under. Is that right? I haven't caught a full glimpse of that yet, but it's a nice little touch.
That's what we're told, certainly. Just to prepare himself for life in Australia, because that's how it works down there, I'm told. Never been.
Yeah, and the water goes around the other way in the plug hole as well. So it's just out of shot, isn't it? Just out of frame. But these three cars are still absolutely together. Rees, Pywell, Brown could change at any moment, but if it's going to happen, it'll either have to be here at the chicane or maybe at Lodge, the final corner. Here's Paul Cook, though, heading for exactly that part of the racetrack, Ian.
Yeah, out of Lodge he comes down to the bottom of the compression, climbs up through Deer Leap and receives the checkered flag once again. So that is, I think, 5 wins so far this season now for Paul Cook in the BMW Car Club Racing Championship, beaten just once. That was at Silverstone by Stephen Schweikart, who takes 3rd place here behind Ben Pearson. So 26th winner Paul Cook, 25 Ben Pearson second, 43 Stephen Schweikart third. Charlie Dark, who made the best start to the race, takes 4th place in car 135. And then we wait for 5th place, which looks like it's going to be Jason Rees and Stuart Pywell and then John Brown, but they're very close together through the final few corners.
Nothing between them. Well, I'll say that. There's a little bit of a gap that has opened up between the flickering headlights of Paul Rees and then Pywell, but Pywell to Brown, tight indeed. It's 3.5 tenths as they cross the line for 6th and 7th. They are all the M1s. We're waiting, though, for the M2 battle.
We are. That's Cavan Granger with 2.7 seconds to the good at the start of the lap, so he should have brought it home ahead of Aidan Vilku. There goes Craig Emerson through. He's a lap down. And another of the back markers. There's Cavan Granger now. We're just seeing him at Druids. And yeah, the Bisley Removal Services entered car has got quite a healthy advantage here over Vilku in his E36, I should say. But Cavan Granger in those sort of familiar colours that he races in, the sort of white and sort of crimson, burgundy, I guess you'd call it. He takes the Class M2 victory then. And Vilku is second, and then the next car through is Chris Blakey. He takes the checkered flag and is the Class 6 winner, with just waiting for Clive Watson to come through, who I think will be the last car on the lead lap and be second place within the Class 6. He's just coming through now. So that brings to an end the BMW Car Club racing action for today, but not the BMW action, because there's the ultimate BMW race to come at the end of the day. With a couple of cars that we've not seen as yet today taking part in that one as well as some cars that we have, so we look forward to that. But there's 2 more races to come before that. In fact, there's the Armed Forces Race Challenge and the historic 750 Formula Series still to come. 5-second penalty has been issued to Cavan Granger. It's not yet appeared on our screens, I don't think, but it's about to, for exceeding track limits. And that would drop him behind Aidan Vilku. So it would make Aidan Vilku the M2 class winner. That's not been processed on the timing screens yet, but I think word coming through from race control that is a penalty that is going to be applied. It's, as I say, not yet appeared on the timing screen, so it might be that we actually hear from Cavan Granger in pit lane, in which case we might find out where he was going off the circuit and gaining an advantage if he has a chat with Kieran Mogg. Winner then was number 26, Paul Cook. Second place went to number 25, Ben Pearson. The gap between them at the end of the race was 4.888 seconds. Third place was number 43, Stephen Schweikart. Fourth was 135, Charlie Dark. Fifth, number 9, Jason Rees. Sixth, 76, Stuart Pywell. Seventh, number 7, John Brown. Eighth was number 37, Cavan Granger, as things stand. And therefore winning the M2 class, but it might be that swaps around number 69 Aidan Vilku, who was 9th on the road, that gets the verdict. Running out the top 10 was the Class 6 winner, number 27 Chris Blakey, ahead of 177 Max Bunting, 10 Clive Watson, 4 William Lake, and then it was Paul Laramie in 14th, Ben Haynes. Gareth Thomas winning the Cup class in 16th overall, ahead of the other 2 in that class, Andrew Pywell and Ernie Graham. But Paul Cook it was that took another clear win in the BMW Car Club Racing Championship, and the next rounds for those, say, at Donington Park next month. So we look forward to that. We look forward next to the Armed Forces Race Challenge. The cars are already assembled behind us, I can tell you. And we're just getting drivers in position for a conversation with Kieran Mogg. Just getting the drivers in order, making sure he's aware of the possible penalty for Cavan Ranger number 37 as well. And I think very shortly we'll be able to head down to Kieran in Parc Fermé to have a word with our top 3 drivers.
Thank you very much. And yes, once again, we're joined down here with the class winners. First and foremost, Paul Cook. Didn't have that all your own way.
No, that was a dreadful start, and yeah, I was first corner, I was third. Managed to get past them, but they just didn't let go. They was just hanging on. So there was no time for rest in that race.
What did you struggle with in this race compared to the other one?
Fitness. A lot of fitness, or lack of a lot of fitness. But yeah, it's very hot in those cars. But made a couple of adjustments before this race, and they didn't work at all. So I should be putting it back, and it is for sale. Speak to Mike Eustace, and he'll do you a very good deal.
Well, congratulations, 2 for 2. Cheers, thank you very much. Right, if we move on to Cavan Granger. Cavan, if you want to just jump in a second. 2 for 2.
So yeah, not bad. Yeah, good race again. Aiden was on me all the time. You know, you make a mistake, you get sideways or lose a bit of time, he'll be past. So yeah, just concentrate for the full 20 minutes. I ain't got a good concentration span. I ain't. So yeah, no, it's good.
Can ask for a better weekend, yeah.
No, not really. Just got to get home yet. As long as the van don't break down the way, I'm going to be fine. It'll be a good weekend.
God, don't jinx it. I'm going to stop you talking right there. Right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you. All right, if we move on to Chris Blakey. Chris, you want to jump in? Again, 2 for 2.
Yeah, it was a slightly scrappy start to that one. A little bit of contact, but kind of got through. Good bit of racing. With Max in the M2, and then got past Andy, and unfortunately I had to retire due to a meatball with bumper, but yeah, could have been better. So unfortunately Paul didn't get getting back up to race with us at the front, so yeah, cracking day. You've got to say that, otherwise you won't lend you the car. Yeah, but it was a really good day. Really good day again. Nice and warm. Good event again. Always good to see everybody come out of BMW Live. Lots of interest in the cars and that, so might get a few new races next year, you never know, we'll see. So.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations anyway. 2 for 2. Couldn't have gone much better.
Perfect day. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you very much. All right. Move on to Gareth Thomas now. Gareth, you just wanted to jump in here a second. Yeah. Again, 2 for 2. 2 for 2 for all of you.
I know. I know it's getting regular. You know, may as well just have the same photos after every race. You know, all good. But yeah, 2 out of 2. I'll take that. Going into it, I didn't realise Andy had the fastest lap in our class in the first race, so I was a bit worried. I thought if he doesn't have an incident, it's going to be a problem for me. I had a good start. I got some cars between us, and I think he just got held up a couple of times. So yeah, easy going, to be fair. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, congratulations, and hopefully continue the form on the next one.
Yes, yeah, hope so too. Yeah, all right.
Cheers. Thank you very much. All right.